Alright, time for the DraftPhysics.com video presentation. So, Ian Gosling has made a video attempting to reclimate two bad camera angles. So, clearly in the first set of experiments, the overhead kind of point of view wasn't very helpful, let's just say. Except for the fact that it does allow you to see a shadow on the table, which is kind of indicating of something. But yes, you have some, it's hard to see how high things are accurately. And then he did the second experiment looking from below, looking up at the two objects. So one angle is down, the other angle is looking up, both of which can be found to be troublesome and not a great idea. And yet he is making a video attempting to defend those two bad perspectives. And he does it by showing us what the right perspective would have looked like if he had done the experiment from the right camera angle. Which is ironic. But this effort to defend this idea that somehow this image, I think you can see that without me using the arrow. Where is it? There's the arrow. Let's see if I can actually make this work. So he's saying this here is the same as this in the image. So this little, what appears, with the shadow on the table, this distance is the same viewpoint as this, which looks huge difference. And the tape measure isn't even in the right location, blah, blah, blah. You can point out all kinds of defects in this and say, well, obviously this isn't a better perspective or the same perspective. So why are you including something that's neither accurate? I mean, it's not the same point of view. So it's almost as if he's saying, I didn't know where I had my camera in the first video. I think you knew where you had the camera. So this is all just sort of bullshit. All right. But anyways, we'll play the video. But why would he go to this effort to contrive defending two bad camera angles when it would have taken less time to just redo the experiment? Why? I had to ask the question why. Why wouldn't he just do the experiment again and film it better? Wouldn't that be the solution?
I've taken the trouble to suspend the weights in roughly the position that they attained the believer launch test.
So says you. Okay, in roughly the position they obtained. By what camera? Bad camera angle. But by one camera angle, this is way off. Okay, and maybe by the other camera angle, it's okay. But I'm just saying, by the two camera angles, which one did you choose? We obviously didn't choose the first camera angle, because that would have been where you saw a shadow on the table. But it's just such bullshit.
There's nothing duplicitous, Gary.
Oh, well, whatever. There's something bullshit about all of it. The fact that you didn't show the clay experiments when they didn't come out your way was bullshit. The fact that you never redid the experiments to just prove me wrong and say, see, I did show it. The fact that even after I've mentioned it about 15 times now that you in this shenanigans kind of way, didn't videotape an experiment that came out my way because you figured it must be wrong. It has to be wrong. You made a video explaining how it must be wrong because, frankly, it came out his way. You didn't explain why it would be wrong, except to say somehow the clay is crumbly. Well, if the clay is crumbly or the Play-Doh is crumbly, then why wouldn't you get all kind of chaotic results? Why would you get the same result each time? So that's a bullshit excuse. I'm just saying there's reason to doubt your sincerity in any of this. Okay, and the fact that you're claiming this is the same camera angle as, the fact that you're saying this is the same camera angle as this just points out that you're full of shit, because you can just see from the angle of the table itself. Clearly in the first video you were looking at it this way, right? Now, I mean, you were looking at more from this side. And now in the new video you're looking at it this way. So you haven't even gotten that part right, where you're standing in the right position. And you're saying, look, I did my best. Well, you didn't do anything like that. You're trying to frame this gigantic difference in how it looks. Okay, this is a gigantic difference in how this object looks. And you're trying to find a way to frame that as being the same experiment, when obviously it doesn't look like the same experiment. It looks like something very different happened. And what was the difference? Why are those two things so different in what they did? Okay.
About this was the same test, the same heights attained on both.
So he says it. There's, obviously all we have is the videotape. We don't have any other evidence. So says you.
This is the angle roughly we would have seen in the first test.
Roughly it's not. Okay, so you can just look at it and say, well, that's roughly not the same angle. This, obviously, this line is pitched this way. This line is pitched that way. So you haven't even gotten yourself far enough over here, right? The first video, you have to be over to the right-hand side more. So you're not even, you haven't got that part right to get this angle right. Right? If you go this way, it tilts that way. Same if you go this way, it tilts that way. Yeah, so you're way off. So we're supposed to believe you didn't know where your camera was when you did the first video. Okay, I don't think that's a reasonable thing for me to believe. You don't know where you placed the camera. And obviously you can just tell by the slope. Look at the slope of the wall, for fuck's sake. Look at this. This is almost a dead straight line. And look at how it's way pitched over here. I mean, way pitched. You're telling me you're making a sincere effort to show me the same point of view? Look at it. Look at the slope, the angle of that line. I mean, you're not trying very hard, frankly. But you did a lot of work. Okay, you didn't do very good work. But what am I supposed to think? I mean, what? You build this little wooden thing, you go to this trouble to make this device, blah, 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 all this horse shit, to sit there and tie the weights in, frankly, arbitrary locations that you've decided that's how far they went. Instead of just redoing the experiment, for fuck's sake, from a decent camera angle. Amazing bullshit.
Looking down upon the test, you can compare the half mass.
All right, so I can compare and I can say bullshit. This is a straight on view. The wall's got a straight line on it. That's got a straight line on it. The whole thing doesn't look anything like the other frickin' image. Huge defects in these two images. Nice straight line, nice not straight line. Get real, not straight line. Okay, this was clearly a very different camera angle. Very, very different. So, not even close. I mean, it's just, why would he do this? Why is he trying to reclimate two crappy camera angles? One too high, one too low. Why? Why not just redo the fucking experiment?
Roughly where it is compared to the second. Things have changed because I dismantled everything, so the shadows and that are not the same, blah, blah.
Bullshit. Okay, just bullshit. The shadows on everything else looks pretty much the same. Do you see any? I don't see any huge lighting defects here on any of these other surfaces. All these look like they're casting pretty much the same shadows as they did before. So, bullshit. 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 All of a sudden, the shadows disappear. No shadows are cast. Bullshit.
Blah, blah. But that is roughly the angle I've filmed it at. And
so again, you said it twice. No, it isn't. Okay, it's not even close. It's way the fuck off. It's much closer. It's not the same height. It's not the same angle. It's just absolute bullshit for you to say this is the same thing. I mean, we could just look at let's see if we can find something that tells the tale here too. This wrench is much more angled over here. You know, those things didn't move. So you really didn't try very hard.
You could compare it to how you blew the video up to show.
Yeah, I just did, and the comparison says, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to reclimate this? Why are you trying to pretend this thing isn't much, this lower one isn't much higher? Okay, the heavy mass isn't much higher in this second video than it was in the first video. Why are you pretending that I should believe that?
The positions and said, oh, that must be 4 times as high. If I back off slowly, you'll see.
Y'all see what? It's never going to look like the video, the original video. So go ahead, try to contrive that.
How I then film the second test.
Okay, so that angle, from this perspective, obviously, none of that, in my opinion, shows anything looking like the original video. So it's certainly not looking more like the original. And obviously, the second video, you were below the table. You couldn't even see the tabletop. So let's not pretend if I can see the tabletop in the tape measure that somehow those two videos are the same because, oh, I couldn't see the tabletop in the second video you did. You were below the table height. You couldn't see the top of the table. Fact. So why don't you show it from that crappy angle?
And nothing's moving. Now you've got the whole...
Right, this is the angle you should have filmed it at. You know, some box here. We could just box this in a little bit and say, okay, zoom in a little bit just to close off this whole area. And there you go. That's the angle you should have filmed it at.
And it was down a bit lower.
Yeah, it was a lot lower because you couldn't see the top of the table. So what's that? So again, you know that. You could look at your own video and see that you couldn't see the top of the table. So obviously it isn't a bit lower. It was a lot lower. And it was zoomed in. And now parallax, took place because the object further away is going to look lower. And the object closer is going to look higher.
And I'd zoom the camera in a bit.
A lot. Yeah, so much that we couldn't even see the lever. We couldn't see the launching part at all. All we got to see was it leaving. So we couldn't even get an idea of where you're putting the thing or doing any of that. So not that you deliberately cheated, but fuck, you didn't leave us any option but to make that a possible speculation because we couldn't see you doing it.
I got the board in and the 2 weights, and eventually there was another board behind with a scale on.
So again, why is he doing all this when he could just do the experiment right now? I mean, he's got it all set up here. He could just cut these strings and do the experiment with the right camera angle instead of making this video. Isn't that a reasonable question? Isn't it a reasonable question to say, why would you show me them suspended in what you claim to be the real experiment, the real results, and they're just your claims from either this wrong camera angle looking down or a wrong camera angle looking up. And you say this is where you know they were. Why would you do this? When you could just take in the time not to make the board, not to suspend them, and just redo the experiment at a decent camera angle. Why? Why would you do this? I mean, why? What would be more trouble? I mean, yes, you'd have to put the camera on something. Okay, I guess that would be the whole difference, right? You're making a video, you're talking. All you have to do is stop talking, cut the 2 strings, let the pendulums fall, and launch them. So why don't you just do that instead of this video?
And that's how it looks from that angle.
Yeah, see, that's the angle. There you go, bingo, right there. Why didn't you do the experiment from that camera angle? I'm not saying it should have occurred to you. I'm just saying once you notice that the 2 angles you chose were really bad, looking down at an angle and looking up at an angle were not great ideas. So now that you can look at this and see this, why did you even publish this video? Why didn't you just say, wow, look at that. That's the way I should have done the experiment. I should have filmed it this way. But instead you're making this video instead of just doing the experiment again the right way.
Angle roughly.
I mean, it just seems very suspicious, right? Seems very suspicious that he would waste time reclamating 2 crappy videos when he could just do it right. What the fuck was that? So many things not working right here. I hope this video is going to record. The last one didn't.
If I tilt you can imagine the arc. The pendulums would have been hanging down roughly where the lever is there.
Yes, roughly. So again, it's somewhere around the straight line of the tape measure. We have to say that's probably the bottom height, something like that. Who knows? It would be nice to have that, more precise, but whatever.
With your eye, the arc, and you could see that.
I could see what? That you put these in the right position using your bad video as a reference. Yeah, I don't think you did.
The light amount.
You can't even figure out how to recreate the right angle. So how could you possibly tie these in the right position when you can't find the right angle? You can't even put the camera in the same angle of the 2 videos, either one. You can't show us the true angle of either video. You can't duplicate it. When you're trying to, you can't do it. And yet this is where their positions are.
Is going to be a long way short of 4 times the height, indicating that the lever cannot.
Well, it's not going to be a long way if this is an inch too high and this is an inch too low. So that's all I need here. It's an inch higher here and an inch lower there, and we're back in the ball game.
Launch the half mass, twice velocity. You have to accept that.
No, I don't. Not on this crappy evidence. Sorry. Just amazing. I have to accept that. You have no explanation for where the energy goes, where it's lost, the momentum, why you don't have to conserve it. Nothing. You have no theory to explain what the fuck you're talking about. The magical energy just disappears for no good reason.
There's no
the magical momentum.
Cheating going on.
Says you. This is cheating. The very fact that you're contriving this fucking arrangement and saying this is what the experiment showed when you have no evidence of that except 2 poorly done videos. I mean, how did you establish that this is the right place to hang this? How did you establish that? What reference did you use? No, you made it up.
It means that you will have to modify your theory.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. You're just making yourself more suspicious in my eyes, frankly. Why would he make this video? Why not redo the experiment from this camera angle, from this good camera angle? Instead of using 2 shitty camera angles, why wouldn't he just refilm it from a good camera angle? Why do this instead? Yeah, I won't get an answer. Because there isn't one that doesn't have something like because he is afraid or because he knows that there is some shenanigans, that was the whole plan. Who knows? Who knows? He doesn't want to concede that the first 2 experiments were shitty camera angles. He just doesn't want to concede that fact. It's somehow, too embarrassing or something to just admit, oh yeah, those
change because I dismantled everything. So the shadow.
Those weren't very good camera angles. Yeah. But again, to argue that this is the same position as this, not even. Come on, get real. Get realer. But the camera angle is correct. No, not even close. So anyway, just enough said. I just don't get it. I just don't get why that tactic or this strategy Why try to reclimate to bad videos when you can just do the experiment over? You have the thing sitting there. What's the big deal? Just do it again. It takes 5 minutes. Do it again correctly. Shit.